Hello, everybody. Happy Halloween. Hello, Enzo. Hello, Jara. Hello, Jimmy. How are you tonight? In the Tales of Terror.
What
It's a tale of terror.
Ooh.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. How are you doing on this Halloween?
I am doing well. How are you, Enzo?
Doing great. I've got my Reese's pumpkins right here. I'm ready to go.
Oh, I should go get a sucker. I should have a
I
lot of
am
stuff.
also I'm in my garage. I'm outside and I'm handing out candy. So,
And you're passing out
What
the
kind
good
of
stuff?
candy are you?
The
Yeah,
good
what kind of
stuff?
candy?
I also have Reese's pumpkins and I also have Hershey bars, Twizzlers, and Reese's Pieces and Kit Kats. I've got everything.
Ooh, Kit Kat.
Did you say Kid Cats?
Kit Kat.
Oh. All right. Why
Um,
can't my headphones aren't working?
So
Darn.
tonight
I
we're
was
just gonna
always
have.
when
go
I,
ahead.
when I was a kid, one of my favorite things it was always fun going out on Halloween and getting your pillowcase just stuffed full of candy all over various neighborhoods running all around, and the weird kid network thing where the kids be like, this house, the fifth house down on that street, they're passing
Yep.
out the full-size candy bars, all that stuff. As a kid. Then you get back home with all your friends, or to like wherever the meeting spot is with all of your friends. Then you start wheeling and dealing. It's like, I'll trade you 2 of these Mars bars for a Reese's cup. Just whatever the exchange rate is, starts trading and stuff like that.
Yep. You know who has the good stuff.
Yeah, you start seeing all the
Susie
kids
and I,
just
we
swarming around.
did a whole lot of trick or treating together when we were little.
We did.
We went probably how many years in a row? Maybe like almost
Probably
10.
about 10. Yeah. And I always fell down and skinned my knee every single time. And
Yeah, she did.
You guys always laughed at me. For some reason, we laughed at each other when we fell down before we helped. We're like, hold on. And then we would help each other up if we did.
It depends on the level of how hurt you are.
Right. If there's blood,
you just skin your knee, you're going to get laughed at. If there's blood and bone showing, it's serious. We need to not make fun of you.
It also depended on who was with us, because our friend Michelle used to laugh at everybody that fell all the time, like no matter what. No matter how blood or not. But she laughed at herself too. So
yeah, well, sometimes, yeah. I just wanted to have a fun show tonight, so we were just going to have like some fun questions and conversation. And in the chat, you can also answer too. Just friendly.
Is my audio okay?
It was better before.
That's what I thought. Okay. I'll just take them off. All right. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Carry on.
So I guess we'll just start with. I have some right here. So I have my first question. So.
Oh boy.
We'll start with a nice one. What is the single most thing that makes you feel nostalgic? And I'll give an example. So I'll go first. So one of the things that makes me feel super nostalgic is when I hear the train in the background. Like when I hear a train when I'm in town. And where I live now, I can actually hear the train too. But we lived really close to the railroad tracks. Did you guys hear that?
Yes. What was that?
I think that was fireworks.
I hope it was fireworks.
My neighborhood is awesome. They're kind of, I'm sure they're illegal, but my neighborhood is so awesome. It's magical. Every holiday there's like a fireworks show. What about you, Jara?
I can't hear you guys. Hang on a second. But I can hear my computer, so that's weird.
Okay, that's weird. I'll jump in, I guess. I know for me as I don't know if it's necessarily nostalgic, but I always feel happier or more. It's just like there's hope for humanity when I see people actually communicating with each other instead of doing this.
Yeah, me too.
if there's not a cell phone involved, although like for 10 minutes before the show, we talked about how you could use this for translating amongst different languages and stuff like that, which is good.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good thing.
I can't hear you guys.
I don't know.
I can't hear you guys, but I can hear my computer. That's weird.
That is weird. Did you unplug your
And then when I
headphones?
click on speaker, it plays testing the speaker, and I can hear that. But I can't hear
Have
you
a
guys.
good time. Yeah.
That's
The,
weird. I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
I'm with you on that, Enzo. Like communicating and talking, like real talking for life is me. I love it. Like I'll take it any day. Like human interaction, I'm down for it. I love talking. I talk so much. I can't stop myself sometimes.
We know. No, you're fantastic. Yeah, it's
There we go.
I know I'll like go to Sam's Club or something like that, and I'll communicate. That's the peak of my normal social interaction is whenever I go to the store, basically, or talk here online with somebody. But my only like in-face person, real contact with humanity is when I'm out at the store. And I made a joke to somebody where it was at Sam's Club, and they've got the little robots that go around and clean the floors.
Oh yeah.
They're totally automated as they, R2D2 their way around the store. And it came around the same corner that I was heading towards. So we were both at an impasse and couldn't get around each other. And there was a lady that saw that and kind of laughed, and she said something. I don't even remember exactly what it was that she said. But I made a comment afterwards. It's like, wait, you're talking about the robot and not me, right? Just being silly. And she was so confused. She had no idea. She's like, no, I would never say that to you. No, it was a joke. It was self-deprecation. I was making fun of myself. Never mind. Enjoy your day.
Right. So what were you guys talking about? Because I missed the question. I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I asked, what is the one thing that makes you the most nostalgic? And I said, the sound of the train in going through town.
Oh, that's good.
And Enzo said people communicating.
Not having their face buried in their cell phone instead of actually speaking to another human being.
Right. Yeah. I miss like the smell of like when autumn like starts, or like, because here it just goes from hot till like all of a sudden it gets cold, and there's no in between.
Snow, yeah, just generally mild with the leaves starting to change and all that. It's just hot, cold.
Right. And it's unfortunate because it's like when you like to be outside, I don't know, it's not fun when there's not that in between time. So I'm nostalgic for that. Seasons in Flagstaff, we had seasons.
Yeah, we did. It was beautiful. We had a very beautiful childhood with all the seasons all the time.
Yeah, we did. We super did. Really super did. My childhood was awesome. We had kitchens, and like there was a kitchen at Susie's outside. We had an outside kitchen, and
we had an outside playhouse.
She had the Nintendo that had the what was it called? The track.
Oh, the pad, the action pad or something.
Yeah, that you run on. It was like new. That was like the coolest thing at the time, or whatever.
And then we would run on it with our hands like this.
How many hours of Dance Revolution have you done?
We didn't have, that wasn't out yet.
Yeah, that wasn't out yet. That was like before. There was track and field, and there was Excite Bike. Remember Excite Bike, dude?
And Duck Hunt.
Yep. Yeah, we were pretty good at Mario. And then we used to play games in her sister's room. We used to ask Nikki if we could play, was it Wheel of Fortune that we put
on the computer?
Huh?
On the
Was
computer.
it a computer or an Atari or something?
I think we played it on the computer. It was like back when like AOL days.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, when like online first started.
I remember that sound, like when you would get online, it was all.
Yeah, you were connected at 28.8. Yay!
Yep. Those were them days.
So that
Stuff
smell
has
that you
changed
can
quite a bit.
smell, Jara, I can actually smell it right now. I think somebody started made their fireplace today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it smells
That's
good.
awesome. You should
There's
capture it in
chimenea
a jar.
going.
Hi, Mom. You should capture it in a jar and smell it later.
Yeah, it is nostalgic actually.
Yeah.
There's not a Yankee candle scent like that.
Somebody should make one.
Yeah,
Right?
Chimenea fire, smoke fire thing.
Ooh, yeah. My friend brought me some apple cider, y'all.
Oh,
Apple cider.
thank you.
Apple cider is nice.
Mhm.
Apple cider is nice.
Whoa, what is that mug?
Is that what is that?
Raccoon?
Is that
It's Rocket Raccoon from Galaxy.
Oh.
Guardians.
Guardians of the Galaxy? Oh, it looks kind of also like a little chihuahua, maybe.
Yeah, I could sort of see that. I'm getting
Like
that
my
on.
Ernest chihuahua.
So good, you guys. Okay, next question. What is the weirdest nickname anybody ever gave you?
Weirdest nickname. Oh, I got that one too. You go first, Enzo.
When I was in basic training for the Air Force, December through January of 1985, 86. Yes, I was there over Christmas. Bad idea. But I was apparently very slow and lethargic compared to other people in my flight because they were always yelling. I was like, come on, hurry up. You got to do this. And I got the nickname of Norman, which was... Norman was Henry Fonda's character from On Golden Pond, which was popular at that time, the December of 1985. So it was like, come on, Norman. So I went to like my tech school for like 6 weeks after that, and a bunch of the people that were in my same, basic training class followed me there. So I was Norman for the entire time. When I left there to go to my permanent station, nobody else followed me, so I didn't have Norman hanging on to where there were actually people in my flight that thought that was my real name. They just thought my name was Norman.
That's funny. Well, mine would have to be when I was a gymnast. Tumbling was my forte. So I was a pretty powerful tumbler, and my coach called me. My last name was Brown, so he called me the Brown Bomber. But I didn't realize until I was an adult that it sounds like something you would call, like taking a poop or whatever.
Poop, dude.
So that was my nickname. Was the Brown Bomber.
That's so funny. So I guess the weirdest one for me was Q snippers. That's weird, right? So it came from, because it started out as Susie Q, and then there was this. So it was this night, and I was in high school, and this guy was so drunk, and we were all laughing at him, and he was like Susie Q, Cutie Sue, and he was like changing it around, and by the end of the night, it was Q snippers, and then that stuck with me for like years till I graduated, probably, and then I didn't hear it anymore. But that was kind of funny.
Q snippers.
For like, especially like school nicknames you can pick up, that's not so bad, because there's always like the one kid who has an accident, in like, grade school where they, pee their pants or poo their pants, something like that. That follows him for like the rest of their life until they graduate high school and they have to go to college in another state just to escape it.
And then somebody runs into them in their adult life, and they're like, "Hey, poopy pants."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's funny.
I had people call me Jara curl before too.
Oh, like Jerry curl.
Jara,
Jara,
yeah,
Jara had an afro when she was a little girl.
I did have an afro,
I mean, it was
and
the cutest darn thing.
I had and still do have quite a large forehead as well. A
I
five
had
head.
kind of like this. Actually,
Hey,
I have the
five
same
head.
haircut now that I had as a little kid,
Oh yeah, you do. It is close.
like a page boy. Man, it was horrible though when I was little though.
Your hair was
But-
always pretty. She always had pretty hair. It was like shiny, like Snow White hair.
That's what you always say.
I always wanted the shiny hair. Like my friends had the most beautiful hair, and I didn't like my hair when I was little.
Nobody ever does. Like if you had curly hair, you wanted straight hair.
Right.
If you had brown hair, you wanted blonde hair. No matter what.
Right. Whatever is the opposite of what you can actually manage.
Yeah.
I remember like being a little girl and running around with like my shirt on my head to pretend like my hair was long. Or
I remember
You
doing
remember
that.
Yeah. I just wanted long hair so bad, and like I think my mom bought me this like I don't know, it was like a wig that was like crimped, like long black hair. I'm surprised you don't remember that wig.
I do remember it. I do remember
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
because if I could have had extensions, like if I'd have known that they were around like they were today, man, I'd have been all playing with that all the time.
Oh my God, you guys. Jara has a bag of hair and it is fun. It's the funnest bag ever. And it's beautiful hair.
I do. I have a lot of hair.
I remember when you were little at one time, you had those braids with the beads in it. And when you shook your head, it was like.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom had my hair braided kind of like Alicia Keys does her hair when I was little
Are
a
those
few
cornrows?
times. So, huh?
Are those cornrows?
I had it cornrowed a couple of times, but sometimes it wasn't cornrowed. Sometimes it was just loose, or it was all my hair though. I didn't have extensions. She just braided my hair and then put beads on the end. Yeah, she just wrapped tinfoil on the ends of my hair and then stuck it through the beads and then like balled the tinfoil so that it didn't fall off. That was good for me because it kept my hair up for gym. But the beads used to hit my face. It hurt.
This next question is down Jara's alley, right down Jara's alley.
Sweet.
So if you had 1,000 acres of land, what would you do with it?
1,000 acres?
Yeah, 1,000.
1,000. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of acres.
That's a lot of acres.
First, I would explore it. I would see what's there.
There's probably something on 1,000 acres.
Well, I mean, you want to know what's there, right? So that you can plan it out, right? So I would do that first.
So you'd have to. I would love to explore your land with you.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd probably take a long time exploring it because I'd get so sidetracked like really easily by like some cool rocks, and then I'd start like digging right there. So I'd also have to like hire somebody to help me because I would get stuck looking at rocks. But I would like to create a business and a community, like a business that would foster a community in that area or whatever, that my kids and husband, that we could as a family like do together, and also like do things for the world or whatever. I'd like to be of service. I'd like to have like what's it called? Food farm, like where everything is working together to like help it grow. So you're not wasting any of the waste. And I have free roaming chickens that I can like put their thing on wheels, like at my uncle's house. So they move their chickens around the yard so that they could like fertilize different areas and all that. So they use their chickens like a natural
mobile coop kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Is it really? Is that what it is? A mobile coop?
Yeah, that's what they did in Idaho, which is really smart. So there's all kinds of things that, you can use or whatever in your yard. If you have land like that, you can make a food forest. So permaculture. I'd love to learn that. I don't know anything about it, but I'd love to learn more. So, and it would be neat. I'd like to have my Hardy Har-Har's food truck parking market. So I have this idea of having a food truck park and market. I'd like to do that too. That would be awesome.
So you have like one section of it is just for like farming and stuff like that, where you raise a crop and then you can like sell it in another part of the property.
Well, right. You could have like a food truck park part at like
1,000 acres is a lot, by the way.
Right.
That's,
So like,
that's like
they
an entire
have
county.
Right.
Hi.
And they have places like Schnepp Farms or Tomahawk Farms, places you can go where you can like fix stuff, and they have events or whatever. So I would integrate all my passions and try and do something.
I love your answer, Jara.
So that's what I would do.
Your answer made me happy. That'd be great.
Well, thank you. What would you do?
It's kind of like the same thing. I'd make a commune. I would make that's big. How big is 1,000 acres? Is that like a whole town?
I don't even know.
An entire county. That's not, that's way outside of a town. That's actually just because the county, I live near Wichita. So Sedgwick County is the entire county, is right at 1,000 square miles of space, which ends up being, certainly less than that, or a little different than that from acres, but that's a lot. 1,000 acres is a lot for
I didn't
me.
think that one through.
Yeah, that's a lot of money just in the taxes to have, property taxes, just owning it with not doing anything on it. That's a lot of money, no matter where.
So 1,000 acres equals 1.56 square miles.
Right.
So that's not that, right? That's not that big. That 1.56 square miles.
It seems like that would be more.
That's a lot more.
Yeah, I think so too.
It says how many miles long is 1,000 acres? If it is 1 acre wide, it would be 1,000 acres long. 39.02 miles long.
Okay. So is there a way, can I lock people out? Can I only have cool people at my?
Can you only have what? Cool people?
You'd have to fence off the entire 1,000 acres except for like whatever roads come in and out of it.
And then there would be guards right there.
And I guess you could say this is private property. You can't, even though it's like a county-sized chunk of land. I guess you could say that, nobody.
And how much of it do we own? Do we have mineral rights? Because that matters.
That's actually giant. No matter no matter how many acres you own, mineral rights is very important.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I didn't think this question through. My distance was off a little.
Like, I know my honest answer would be, I would certainly, much like Jara, I would certainly scope out what's the best section and probably sell 900 of those acres and do like 100-acre block, where the best spot is, and sell off the rest. And you can still do a lot with 100 acres. A whole lot.
Right. Yeah, and how much money would you have too? So that would also, because
you still got to pay the taxes on that.
I know what I do. I know what I do. I would make it so anybody could live there, so there would be no more homeless people around me.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I would do something for the homeless people.
Also, we should put something underground there, just because underground stuff is fun. So.
I don't know. It's kind of creepy with like P. Diddy and all that. Underground.
Huh? Oh, not that kind of underground. Not that kind. I meant like, like a bomb shelter type of deal. Not like human.
Do you think you could do that? Because I've certainly been in a few places that are like that.
What?
In the past?
A bomb shelter?
A P. Diddy party?
Actually, I've been inside Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado.
What?
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Well, here in Arizona, they have there's old missile silo properties that go up for sale, and those are, like
Those are amazing. It depends on what they are. There's old abandoned missile silos, which some of them are like open and kind of gross. And there's usually a lot of, because it was a government facility, they had certain things where they weren't charged or didn't have to follow like EPA standards for like, toxic chemicals and stuff like that. So then you buy it and it's like, fuck, now I'm stuck with this toxic shithole that I can't do anything with.
right.
But the better buy is AT&T used to have a collection of AT&T bunkers that ran across the center of the United States. The
Oh yeah,
plan
you
being,
told us about those. I remember that.
the plan being that, and again, this is all, 60s, 70s technology, where they'd have, big switching stations for, telephone, banks and stuff like that coming in there, where if there was a catastrophic, basically a nuclear war, this was a classic Cold War kind of a setting where AT&T had these like specific spots that dotted around the center of the country so that coast to coast communication could still happen even after a nuclear war. And they've got these amazing underground bunkers that they have that, of course, the technology way surpassed it after even 10 years. And now they actually sell a lot of them to companies that have server farms, because it's all underground. It's already wired in for communications. It's already
What's a
wired in
server
for a
farm?
lot of, that's where like if you're running a website or something like that, it's not like there's a computer in your town somewhere that's running all of that information off of it. Somewhere in the country, there's just a giant facility with hundreds of computers in it that has all of your information on it, along with thousands of other people. Yeah.
Right.
I remember like when the internet first came along, and I had a friend of mine that he thought the internet was like a big building in Chicago with like a bunch of computers in it. That's where everybody was talking. That kind of thing. It's not exactly how it works.
But they are everywhere somewhere physically, right?
Yes, there are physical computers with monstrous hard drives and monstrous communication lines going in and out, so that anybody from anywhere around the world can communicate with that. Basically, it's a hub.
Right.
The reason it's called the World Wide Web back in the day is you'd have a spot here and a spot here and a spot here and a spot here. This one's connected to this one and this one and this one, so it made it look like kind of a spider web, so that if any of those connections got cut, it would just reroute around it, kind of a thing. That's the whole idea behind it. That's how the internet works.
That's still magic to me.
It really is. But a lot of like server farms buy those things up because it's perfect for them. It's got all of the infrastructures already in there. You can still find them for you're still talking $100,000 to $300,000 depending on how nice they are. Where basically all it was is just a big building, basically like a server farm already, except it's just got wiring just for telephone stuff, or these AT&T bunkers. They usually come with a 120 or 150 foot radio communication tower, which you may have never no use for it, or you can rent it out to a local cell phone place that wants to use your signal and stuff like that. So you're getting money coming in from them. You can certainly make some money and afford it, afterwards, kind of things for AT&T bunkers. Those are like the prepper golden.
Do they go up for sale often?
Not very often. Usually people that get them hang on to them forever. But there are certainly some, like in my area, in Kansas, that I've seen go up. That's how I know that like you can spend anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000 on one, and there's just a small like 15 by 15 shack and a giant transmission tower next to it. Everything else is underground. It's like I want to say most of them are like in the 3,000 square foot range, all of it underground. And because
That's
it's
cool.
designed and it's deep, it's like 20 plus feet underground. It's designed so that electromagnetic pulses won't bother it.
Right. That's cool. I would totally buy one of those for that much money. That's actually decent.
There's some people that have bought like these old, missile silos or these AT&T bunkers and stuff like that, and they've really decked them out to where they're just almost like a miniature town kind of a thing, almost like a mall kind of a size structure that's all of it's underground. There's no windows. You don't know what's happening outside unless you have a camera outside that's piped into where you can see it. That's one of the weird things about like what I was saying earlier about when I got the nickel tour of there in Colorado Springs, that everything's deep underground, and like they have murals of what the outside looks like. It's just trees and forests. You can see a little town in the nearby and stuff like that. And they even have like windows there that are designed for the, if it's daylight outside, it'll be light. And if it's dark outside, it'll be dark, that kind of thing. So you can, you feel like you're not, hundreds of feet below the surface of the earth.
Well, there's, on Google Earth, I found like an abandoned, military something where there was a whole bunch of underground like bunkers, because they look like buried houses. Like you can, with a garage, it looks like a garage, like the garage goes in the ground, but it looks like it's just a buried house. And there's probably like, I don't know, like 150 of them. And I looked it up, and it's an abandoned, whatever, camp, military installation. So I'm like,
where at? Are you talking about the ones at Camp Navajo?
No, that's Camp Navajo's in Belmont. But there's those ones too. There's a whole bunch of them near Flagstaff too, in the forest, like just randomly in the forest. I've been in some of those. That's crazy. That's crazy. But I'm like, I try to take note. I've always taken note of where there's underground places. I don't know why. I have no idea why I've done that. Like I've literally done that as long as I can remember. I always note, okay, well, there's a parking garage in case there's a tornado, but I'm like, there's not tornadoes here. So I don't know why I do that.
It's not a dumb. The phraseology is deep underground military base, DUMB, dumb.
Yeah.
And supposedly the theory is it's never been proven, it's never been disregarded, and there's no way to actually do it. But supposedly there's like a dozen of those across the United States, and there's tunnels between all of them.
I believe that.
This is where like the weird stories you always hear about the Denver airport is supposedly that's a major hub, so that people have to fly into the Denver airport, and then they can get access to the DUMBs, and they have special subways, I guess is what you would say, that go from Denver to the middle of the country, like around where I live.
I believe that.
I believe they do. Do you believe they do?
I think they have things underground that I think that they travel. I think that there's people that are in some echelon of people that travel underground faster. I think because like they go everywhere. Like rich people, these like elite people, they're like always going everywhere, and it's like they have the same amount of hours of time in a day that we have. How do they go so many vast faraway places so quickly and like do so much? Their time is the same.
The theory for it is between all of the different DUMBs that may be several hundred miles apart, there's an underground, like basically bullet train style thing. But the actual passageway or whatever the train track or whatever you want to call it, this just tube that goes between these different sites, it's a vacuum sealed so that there's very little air in it, so it can go super fast with no wind resistance, kind of a thing. As they go from one city to the next kind of a thing.
And if they're using like, I don't magnetism or whatever, you know, I could totally see that. And for like on Google Earth, I don't know, like there's all these there's all these lines that are like in the water, in the ocean part. Like, what is that? Does anybody know what that is?
Did you get a lot of candy?
Are they like ley lines?
I don't know. I'm wondering if it's just from lines from some, like whatever is traveling.
That's a lot
Oh
of candy.
wow, that's a lot of candy.
They're coming
That's
in.
good. That's a good.
Did he
That's a
get
good.
any
That's a good
Tootsie Roll
stash
Pop?
right there.
Yeah.
When you get to the door, will you close the garage because I'm cold?
Is he gonna rap for us though first, real fast?
Say hello to my son, everybody. He's
Hi,
handsome.
Timmy.
Hey, how many full size did you get?
He's got a lot of candy, you guys. Okay, close the garage because I'm cold.
Lucky.
That's a good haul. Congratulations.
Yeah, it is.
What was
It's
his
so-
costume? I didn't actually notice like actual costume.
It was so he was Eminem in a movie.
Yes,
You know
it's
the
so
rapper?
tempting to dress up because I'm like when you're the size of a kid, like, you know, I could probably get away with it to get some candy, but I'd have to have a mask on for sure.
Yeah, if you went somewhere with a
There
mask
was a
on,
lady
nobody
that
would know.
came, a grown woman that was trick or treating right now.
I went as my son one year because I was like, I'll just wear his clothes because we're similar in size at the time.
You looked like him too. I saw the pictures.
Yeah, that's funny. Oh, oh,
Oh.
I love babies. I haven't held a baby in a long time. I had a dream. My daughter was a baby in my dream last night. Well, not a baby, but she was like little in my dream last night.
Okay, next question. Okay, I'm gonna have to stop looking at questions because I have enough already now. So this one is, okay, if there was a movie of your life, what would the theme be and who would play you?
Oh no, the theme.
Yeah.
Wow,
My life.
the theme.
Okay, mine would be overcoming adversity. That would be the theme. And who would play me would be Brooke Shields. You know, I overplucked. I was going to say, you know, the eyebrows, but I overplucked, so I don't have her eyebrows right now.
I don't feel I'm that exciting they would ever make a movie about me, but that's a difficult question.
That is a difficult question. I don't know if I could pick a theme. So
Okay.
I would say it would be called Becoming Jara, because I'm always changing. I don't know. I'm always like doing like something.
Curiosity.
I'm always changing, but I'm always the same too at the same time. So I don't know. Who would play me? Let's see. Who would play me?
Whitney.
I would actually like Melissa McCarthy to play me, but I love her. And I know that she would get my dance moves like better than anybody. So
She cracks me up.
would be able to do my dances and it'd be funny. I would love to hang out with Melissa McCarthy. She seems like she'd be funny.
I know, she cracks me up, dude.
Me too.
Okay, so Enzo, who would play you? Who would play Enzo?
I don't know. I'm such a nerd. The only thing that like can come to mind, kind of a thing, is I'm a big Doctor Who nerd.
Oh, cool.
And I would when I was a younger gentleman, I was a big Tom Baker fan. He was the guy with the long scarf from back in the early 80s. And he, late 70s, early 80s for him, it was time period. But just the way he carried himself during, on the show, interacting with people, it wasn't like he was like, oh, this is a special alien that I have to. No. It was always the same guy. It was, and that's kind of how I am. Is I don't care if you're president of a country or you're a homeless person with nothing to their name. I
Mhm.
treat you the same way.
Right.
Well, when we interact, and that's kind of what Tom Baker was like, where he would just, his character would constantly just like, oh, hello, oh, so what's the problem here? Oh, let me see if I can help out, and he would go. That would be the adventure of whatever the show was that week, is him helping somebody out, which turns into this crazy thing that he has to get super involved with and all that. And by the end of it, everything works out and everybody's happy. That kind of a thing. That's kind of how I visualize myself a little bit more of a Tom Baker kind of Doctor Who character.
Cool. I
What
love
would be
that.
the theme of your? What would be the theme of your?
Well, I already have a theme song, so I would guess I would have to fall by that. So.
Oh, you do have a theme song?
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Who's that man in the fancy shirt?
Yeah.
Who's that man with a cheeky smirk? Who has the answers? Who can explain? Well, Enzo the science
I could
guy.
see Enzo on like a show.
Ask him how,
Like Mr.
ask him
Wizard.
why. Enzo the science guy. He's Enzo the science guy.
Like I could see you on an episode of Bewitched or I
Bewitched.
Dream of Jeannie.
I'm Larry Tate. I'm gonna just drink whiskey the entire show.
Right? Or
Did a lot of drinking on that show.
I Dream of Jeannie or I Love Lucy. I love those black and white shows.
Me too. It reminds me of staying home sick from school.
I started watching Gilligan's Island the other day.
Started watching it.
I mean, I started watching it like I was like, I miss Gilligan's Island, so I started watching it because I plan to finish. Okay, guys.
Well, what's your
Oh,
favorite
man.
Gilligan's Island episode?
Episode?
Yeah,
I like the one where he had a radio in his mouth.
that's
like-
my favorite one too.
His fillings were all aligned to where you could hear like.
Yeah.
I remember
Or
that
the
one.
one where they all switch places somehow, like they become each other. They like, I don't know how it happens. I
Yeah,
don't remember that.
that was common throughout like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s. The Freaky Friday, we're swapping personalities, bodies thing
Right.
was kind of common for a lot of shows back in those days.
It's crazy how they all started out black and white. I know why, but it's like just weird how they all start out black and white and then they go to color. Because Kiki or somebody, I think my daughter was.
Wait a minute. The professor built a radio out of coconuts and palm fronds, but he can't fix a hole in the boat.
Right.
Right,
It's
right.
Let me tell you
Well,
this.
I like the
that
one where they had the robot and he had to teach the
Oh,
robot
yeah.
how to swim so it would go back to Hawaii and teach, tell them what they're lost. And of course, like every episode, something happens where they
Right.
don't remember that part where they're there.
Right.
When that was being filmed, the skipper was only 42, and Mr.
What?
Howell, yes,
Are you
and,
serious?
yeah, and Mr. Howell was only 50. So how does that make you feel?
Wow.
Wow.
I think
They look
I will
old.
be 57 in a couple of days. I think I'm way better looking than Mr.
All right,
Howell.
we're
Yeah.
40, we're 45, and like we're older than the skipper, dude.
That's crazy. Wow. That is insane.
Now,
So how
I
old
can't
were
even
the
understand
ladies?
because I understand what you're saying, and you're absolutely right, of course. But it's like, what happened in their life that they look like
They did.
that compared
Right.
to today?
I know,
40
right?
40 used to be old.
I feel like Skipper, he wasn't also like a little rascal, was he? I don't know why. I feel like he looks familiar.
I think so.
But he
That
did
was-
make some crazy faces.
Skipper?
Yeah, and he would, little buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marianne was my favorite character.
Mine too.
Marianne, way superior to Ginger, the movie star. And,
Oh yeah,
and I'm a
everybody.
sucker for a redhead, but it's still going to be Marianne over
Marianne.
Ginger.
That's the one you take
Yeah.
home to mother.
Her eyelashes were just to die for.
From Kansas, but
Right?
A 3-hour tour, y'all.
the episode where they found the radioactive seeds that they grew to where it's like, I can eat this carrot and I can see 50 miles.
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
I liked that one too. Did you guys used to watch Pippi Longstocking ever?
Yes.
I remember Pippi Longstocking.
I
Yes.
liked that show.
Not
I
the
liked
girl from Wendy's. Not the same girl.
No,
No.
right.
Even though they look
Well,
exactly
similar
alike.
ponytails though,
Not the same
right?
one.
Similar ponytails.
I used to watch there was a show and there was the movie. Remember the movies?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Popeye with Robin Williams.
Oh God, that's a good movie.
Oh, you know what
Yeah,
else I
actually,
watched the other day? It was Fairy
the
Tale
old-
Theater.
Oh.
The old black and white cartoons of Popeye.
Oh,
were
yeah.
hilarious.
They are pretty funny.
Because whoever's doing the voice of Popeye, I have no idea who it is, but he would say these little things. Oh, it looks like a little smoke over there, like Poppy's pipe.
Yeah.
Just these little things kind of almost under their breath that you could almost not even pick up. You had to like turn the volume up just a little bit to hear all the little things he would say that had nothing to do with the story or just his little comments were so hilariously funny.
That's funny.
That is.
Yeah,
funny.
they don't
You're
make
right.
cartoons like they used to.
Now, some of them are kind of I don't know, pushing the line a little when they do some. There's some of them are kind of sexual.
Some of
Like
that are
some of the
Popeyes.
some of the old cartoons.
Oh yeah, some there are, and like, or they're like, they're all
Racist.
drinking and smoking and like, yeah,
Yeah,
they're-
like Tom and Jerry, they get drunk a few times.
Don't
yeah.
make you a bad person.
Okay, which one do I want to ask you next? Okay. If you could write your own law that everybody would have to follow, what would it be?
Everybody has to say.
You are off their head.
Everybody has to say what they mean, and nothing different.
No lying.
No, like different. They can only say exactly what they mean. It has to like. There's no like embellishing. There's no using a different word. Nope, none of that.
That's a great rule. I love that rule. And you know, a lot of people think that women do that more, but I seem to think that I think men do that more.
What? Where they don't say what they mean?
Yeah, they don't
Or
say
what-
what they mean, and they just kind of.
Yes, they do. Men
Yeah.
think they just say whatever. That doesn't have to even be
whatever, or they'll dance
correct
around
a
what
little
they
bit.
really mean.
Like, get out of this conversation. I need to figure this out and this thing. And oh, yeah, right there.
That's a great.
You know
rule,
what
Jara.
I notice that guys do a lot is they pretend like they don't know things sometimes, or like they don't hear you sometimes, or like guys do that.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I used to tell my kids when they were little, I'm like, don't pretend like you don't know something if you know it.
Yeah, don't play dumb. What about you, Enzo?
What would be your law?
What would be my law? My law would be and we can rearrange the dates however this lines up. I'm open to doing it earlier or doing it later, but the day before election day is the day that you owe taxes, like April 15th. So that whatever your taxes are, you have to pay the day before you decide who the next leader's going to be.
Oh,
So if you're getting ripped off by paying taxes, you're going to vote accordingly the next day when you go to, of course, I feel like election day should be a federal type holiday, like a Sunday type holiday where nobody's working or anything. Everyone goes to the polls.
Right. Why
Everyone
isn't
goes
it?
and votes themselves.
why isn't it?
It's a good question. I don't know
If
why
they
it
really
is.
want
It
to
should
give
be.
an opportunity for everybody to be able to vote, why is it not when they literally have the power to make it a Oh,
We
valid
can't even
question.
decide. You guys live in a place where you're doing it right, but everyone else in the United States after this coming weekend is going to have to turn their clocks back an hour. We can't even
Right.
agree on that. Being
Right.
stupid.
Right.
But we don't have to turn ours because we're on our own time over here.
That's right. Everything's its own pace in Arizona and Hawaii.
Yeah. I think we should outlaw time. That would be another law. No time allowed.
How about that? You have to measure it somehow.
Why? Why must we measure it?
Because if
It's
I
a
want to,
construct.
hey, let's do a show tonight. When? Never
Right.
it happens. No, I've got other shit to do. I can't just.
Right. It has to be. There has to be a measure of time so that we can function.
Yeah.
We could schedule based on time of day. We wouldn't necessarily need to count the days unless we were counting towards something. Because we're not counting towards anything. We just start over again. I guess. I don't know. I'm like, what's the point, man? What's the point? Why? Time just stresses us out. I think we'd all be much happier if there was no time.
Well, I think the middle ground would actually be doing away with daylight savings time, and everybody's at a constant then, and then maybe in the future you could take the next step of, all right, maybe we don't necessarily need this time thing.
I don't even understand what it is. Like what exactly daylight, like I don't even get it. It must be only something the intelligent people understand because I don't get it.
No, it's past that. There was a time where you wanted to have like basically it boils down to, and this is going back a long ways, and no one will ever admit to this, where the bankers and the store owners would have their hours during basically daylight hours, which of course, as you get later in the year, the days become shorter. So the sun rises later and sun sets earlier because it's winter time, in the Northern hemisphere. And so you have to make these adjustments to time to where instead of showing up at 6:30 a.m. To go to the bank or go to the store or whatever, no, you're going to show up at 7:30. Or whatever it is. There's an adjustment made. There's like arguments for like, well, farmers don't know how to tell time, and
it's like, why did they have to actually change the clock? Couldn't they just go like when it's the right lightness outside?
Honestly, this is more of a 20th century thing because it also involves power and energy, where if you have to wake up at a time where the sun's not up for another hour and a half to go to work at your normal time, which hasn't changed, hasn't moved back or forwards an hour, then you're going to be expending more energy because you have to turn on your lights, you have to turn on your stuff, all of these things to get things done before you go to work and after you go to work, because the days are shorter in the middle, and during the winter time is basically what this is all about. It's all about utilizing the best daylight hours so you're not wasting electricity during the winter, because we could just adjust the clocks an hour, and that way your normal routine of getting up at 7 and going to work by 9:30 or whatever it is adjusted accordingly to where you wouldn't have you're not waking up in the dark. You're still waking up in the dark and getting home at dark. That's just the winter time. But minimizing those dark hours on the front or back end is basically what it's all about, where you're not wasting electricity, so you can see what the hell you're doing when you're getting ready for work or when you get home from work.
They're so kind for thinking of us, aren't they? I love it. They're so kind. All these things that they think we need. What irritates me is like I over and over again, I kept hearing an ad, and Vice President Harris is saying to people, you know what, like the cost of everything is too much, and here's what we're going to do. And she like lists like 3 things that they're going to do. And they're so very general. They're so very general. It literally doesn't work like that, everybody. So like, I'm like, wow, Why does she say that? She's literally lying because she knows it doesn't work. She knows it don't work like that. Like, why? It's like they think we're dumb or something. I don't know. It's really irritating though. It's like, can you at least give me like, tell me you're going to do some stuff that makes some sense? Because it's just insulting my intelligence at this point. Like what she says, she's like, we're going to go after the guys that charge too much and make them not charge so much. Okay. How are you going to do that? And so you're going to go after everybody? Because like, I'm sorry, it seems kind of like everybody charges too much. I don't know. It's like, wow.
Yeah, I'm not even, I don't even know. I can't believe anything either. I kind of just watching it happen.
Yeah. Voting. I vote for Enzo.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would make federal holiday for voting, and the day before that is when all your taxes are due, so you can remember that shithead that you're about to vote for. Wait a minute, he taxed the crap out of me. I'm not voting for that guy or female, whoever it is.
That's a good idea.
Right. I think we should get to see where the government spent all the money too. Not just like the appropriations bill that says like where they plan to spend the money, but do we get to ever see a receipt? Like, is that not a thing?
We don't.
That's not okay.
We don't even know what they're doing for real. Like, we really don't, if you think about it.
There's like no accountability at all. None. Zero.
Most people don't realize that the federal government doesn't actually make money. The money that they're spending is from you. Right. It's whatever you're paying in taxes, or
they're not supposed to make money anyway.
It is whatever comes from, tariffs where you're charging, hey, I want to sell my Toyota trucks in the United States. We're going to charge you so much because, you're taking away jobs from the US, from a Ford truck that someone would buy. So we're going to charge you a little bit more. So it's going to be a little more expensive.
That mom's right though. We allow it.
Yes. We have certainly brought upon a lot of the troubles ourselves because we have allowed it.
In our defense though, we have been not been told the truth about so many things that like if people knew the truth, they probably wouldn't be somebody, I'm sure, like if they would have said, okay, so basically here's what we're actually doing to you guys. We're going to tell you we're bending you over. And like, if they told us and we actually knew, people would probably be like, wait a minute, like, that's not cool, man. But they don't do that. They pretend, it's like this whole song and dance thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a disaster and I'm not even going to like pick sides in this because there's plenty of shit to go around for both sides in this. I wish we were like some other countries where we had other, something other than the two, red or blue. But it's just the way that it's arranged. You can't get a third party voice, not realistically, that can combat those two. So you gotta do I'm gonna every 4 years you gotta I'm gonna hold my nose and pick for this person and hope they do the right thing. But if they don't, now you're stuck between the person that didn't do what I wanted to the person where I know they're gonna screw me over. So what do? It's a mess.
That is when you go and you find yourself a river somewhere and you make yourself a home somewhere by a river.
I'm going to go buy my AT&T bunker and just lock the door and I'm stuck inside eating my 25-year ration stuff that I can eat and I'm going to come out after 25 years and see if it's okay.
If the world it's a very big place and there's a lot of amazing, beautiful places. And if you were a skilled person that knew how to survive like off the land or whatever, and you were not attached to a specific place, I would literally just go wherever I want. And I would just, even if it wasn't, you're not allowed to be there, I would just get really good at like, I'd camp hide or hide camp. Yeah.
Hide out, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be like, you know what? I was born here just like everybody else. It's not like, I don't know. It's not fair that we're not allowed to like we can't just go look at a place like if we want to. You know, that's kind of unfortunate. We should all be allowed to, but then there's people that would ruin it for everybody because some people, they can't like be nice to other people's things or whatever. Are you frozen, Enzo, or are you just really still?
Actually,
you're really still there.
I'll share this if you don't mind.
Okay.
A friend of mine just sent out a thing on their Facebook. A friend of mine in Caney, Kansas, has this giant.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
They do this old school
Cool.
style, classical type Halloween thing at their house every year, and everything that they do is based off of the Tim Burton movies. Mostly, for the most part, it's all Beetlejuice stuff, as you can see.
That is cool. That's a really good Beetlejuice.
And it's like you can see like the animated series and all of that stuff throughout here, that they turn their entire house, their entire yard into this giant thing where people in this small town of Caney, Kansas, which only has a couple thousand people in it, where it's that classical style Halloween that we usually think of like when we were kids. So much so that they go full, they have an actual path that they have to follow to get around, to get all of the candy and all that stuff. And there's a section at the end where they make individualized, like, personalized sized funnel cakes for the kids and the parents. And they have like special, like little wax wrapper things where it's sort of like a big honey bun. If you know what those are. So where there's sugar on it, they make it live on the site and all of that stuff. And it's a giant thing that they've done for years and years, where they get kids that come in and their parents in and they all remember it. And it's just little, spots for the pictures and all of this stuff that they go through. And it's that one night, which is tonight, where they have the thing. We had an amazing Halloween here, the Nightmare on Bradley Street, which is that's the street they live on in this town, in this little town.
That's neat.
We broke records. 1,166 kids and parents went through the whole thing, and they actually ran out of funnel cake this year. They have 40 pounds of the dry, stuff to make funnel cake there on the property. Wow. They ran out. About 915 little mini funnel cakes they made. A huge thank you to everyone who volunteered to help this. It's a big thing where by this time tomorrow, there will be nothing left in their property where that you'll drive by and like, this is where they had a Halloween thing. I can't even tell. They build it up Halloween day, have a giant night, which apparently they just ended, mostly because they probably ran out of, I know last year they had 35 pounds of the dry mix stuff to make their own funnel cakes. And this year they actually ran out with 40 pounds. So they had even that much more, and it still ran out because people come from like all over this small area to come and enjoy just this little slice of Americana of just this classical Halloween kind of, and they get donations from all over for candy and stuff like that. And any candy that's left over, which they usually have a lot of, there's a different organization that then takes over, and all of that stuff gets shipped over to overseas, deployed military people, where they get all this free candy, gets ships over there. It's an amazing thing that they're doing there. And
that's cool.
That is very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
They put all
I'm
that up in
super
one
proud
day,
of
huh?
them. All of it in less than a day.
Wow.
Basically, once the sun comes up, like this morning, they started building everything. And there's a specific path. They have a little map where they have to walk through, like a maze kind of a thing that has different things, like usually, Beetlejuice style, things that are, themed things where that they encounter it and go through and stuff like that. When they get to the end part, there's giant containers of candy where it's like you get this giant scoop full for this, the kids into their bag of random candies. And if they want to wait, there's a little separate line. That's where they do all of the funnel cake and stuff like that. And
That's awesome.
all of it. Yeah, funnel cake is usually like this giant, like plate size thing. They make like miniature versions with little wax paper type things where you can hold it. You can actually like eat it with one hand. It's got the powdered sugar on it and all that stuff.
That's my favorite. I love funnel cake.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah. Even when the wind blows it in her face, she still likes it.
Even when the wind blows it in my face. When we were kids, I'll never forget that. When we were kids at the county fair, we had these beautiful funnel cakes right in front of us, and this big gust of wind blew mine right in my face. And when it fell off my face, it just looked like I had a mask on. You could just see my eyes, and the powdered sugar was all over my face.
I can totally see your face right now. I just text you, and I accidentally almost put funnel cake. I need to excuse myself, guys. I need to use the restroom.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. And what I love is like my experience earlier this year with you two is I had my first chance at trying a little of your local flavor of what would be a funnel cake, your fry bread.
Let me tell you, Enzo, what's called a Navajo taco is that fry bread with like taco stuff on it and beans and meat and cheese.
I really want to try one of those. That sounds delicious.
So good, Enzo. It is so good. I want one right now. But so the last question is going to lead into an exercise that I'm going to do with you, and it's all quick and it's not a big deal, so don't get all worried about it. But if life stopped, it's deep. If life stopped today, what would you regret not doing?
What I regret if everyone died today.
Just you.
Just me. Okay. Yeah. So if I died today, what would be my regrets if I died right now?
Mm-hmm.
I have a super basic airline kind of theory about the paranormal in general.
Okay, tell me.
That I think I need to do actual research and like on the ground kind of stuff to figure it out. If I were to die today and not have that out there, I would feel sad, because it's like, this is one of those things that I think would just help every human on the planet.
Wow, I want to know about that, what your theory is and what that is.
The short version is I feel everything that has to do with the paranormal, all your ghost stuff, all your cryptid stuff, all your UFO stuff, is all like a parallel dimension kind of an idea, where it's something that's really close to us and always has been for thousands of years. That's all of your fae stories. That's all of your ghost stories. It's all of your various cryptid stories across the world. Everything, all of it is stuff that's just outside of what we normally can experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to quantify that exactly at this point. It's going to take a lot of research to actually say this is it.
Right.
There's good ones. There's bad ones. There's ones that don't care. There's the whole, much like regular people, you're gonna have all of these things from good to bad, somewhere in between. that I feel that's been going on to humanity for thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're really close to kind of proving that.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of quantifying it to where you can get your average Joe that doesn't believe in any of it to
Mhm.
where you can say, okay,
Right.
here's the deal. This is how it all works out. All of these things that these people, somebody goes into a haunted house and little things pop out at them. 1,000 years ago, we would have called that the Fae. 2,000 years before that, it might have been a demon. A 1,000 years before that, it might have been an angel or a demon or a cupid, or there's a million different names for all of the same stuff.
Right.
It's just a matter of us being responsible enough to kind of figure out who's the good ones, who's the bad ones, and all of that.
Yeah.
If I were to die, if I were to die, if I were to die today and not be able to say, at least get that word out there, it's like there's strange stuff out there, but it doesn't happen all the time. It's not one of those constant things. It's one of those things you can certainly live your entire life and never experience it. And when you do experience something weird, it's not specifically this niche little, oh, well, that was a ghost I saw, or that was an alien I saw from another planet, or oh, no, maybe that's just a creature that lives in the woods that nobody's ever discovered before. All of these things, I feel, fall under that umbrella. And there's, to try and prove it is, of course, the challenge.
Well, the world is just
anybody ever proved it before? Do you think there was that maybe somewhere along the way somebody did before?
I think that before, stuff that was what we would call supernatural now, before, was probably considered normal. I think there, or at least in periods of time, I would say, I think there were periods of time where stuff that we consider supernatural wasn't supernatural necessarily. It was just something that happens or whatever. In certain,
I feel like if you go back in time far enough, there may have been an instance, 12,000 years ago, where you had these ancient societies that we have certainly across the world find these megalithic structures that we today cannot make. These giant 4,000 ton blocks to build them to where they're almost specifically shaped to fill that niche. And then another block goes right in next to it. And it's very specifically, arranged to where it fits just perfectly. There's no, grouting in between or anything like that, like with a brick wall or anything like that. There's nothing, and you can't fit a razor blade in there. There's something else going on in our past that we just are totally ignorant of.
Yep. I think some people know.
Is there a connection with that and what we now call, paranormal? I feel that there's some level of crossover, because regular science, I'm a science guy, can't explain exactly how, 12,000 years ago that they built the pyramids, or, in various parts of the world, and these giant structures that, we would be tough today with our current level of technology to build it today. And they're saying, historians say, it was, millions of slaves with rock hammers and copper chisels built this stuff. No freaking way. Ain't no way.
Well,
I want to know, like, even if you think about like the great architecture, whatever, and like the cathedrals and stuff like that, how did they even have the time to build stuff like that? And also, like, be people, because we don't have the time to do that now.
Right.
And then like, how do you have that many workers or whatever that it would require to do that? And then if you would need like horses or whatever, because supposedly there was no technology or whatever, then you'd need places keep the horses. You'd have to have people that would be there to water the horses. So you need people to like help take care of the people that are like working. You know what I mean? Like how it's just, and the way that they're carved into like this, the statues and everything is so intricate. You can't like mess up. You know what I mean? Or else you ruin the whole cathedral.
Right.
So it's like, how do they do stuff? How do they do it with such precision? And like, I don't know. And why did they put a lot of dead people in cathedrals too? Like, what's up with that? Like, did they think that there was something, that there was a reason they wanted to be buried there because of like, I don't know, waking up to something, or because I don't know. Like I was in a cathedral from being on one in Google Earth, and there's like a bunch of people like buried inside the cathedral. I guess priests.
Even catacombs, like
Yeah, it's like why would they do that? I don't know. There's just so many questions about stuff like that. So many.
And I feel it's super important that we ask those questions. I mean, I get it. If you're working your 9 to 5 and you got a family and you got to pay taxes, you got to do all these things. You may not have the opportunity to slow down for a second and go, what the fuck is going on?
Which is
years ago.
one of the reasons why they do that. That's why they keep us so busy.
That's certainly one of the things that's out there is, you know, our education system is designed specifically where you don't ask those questions. And there's a lot of stuff that has occurred, I feel, in our past history that has been specifically designed to where by governments, by religions, by whatever, where you don't ask those questions. You just put your head down and you do your daily grind and pay your taxes, and then you die.
Like, for example, the kids have to pass a civics test to get their diplomas, right? That happened. They enforced that the year after Susie and I graduated. That's why I was able to graduate early, because they put in those new rules or whatever. So it wound up giving me like extra credits or something. So, but it's weird to me that they have to pass that to get their diploma, because it's a lot of questions that, like, yeah, we're told those are the answers, but we're told they're the answers. It's not questions where you have to prove that you're a critical thinker, where you have the ability to do problem solving, or to, you know, it's nothing like that, where you actually have to show that you are capable of being like an adult and a hopefully well-functioning whatever member of society. No, it's if you don't memorize the things that they tell you to memorize, then you don't get your diploma. And that's weird to me. And I don't understand why we all don't go, wait a minute. So you're telling me that like this kid could be a smart kid, they're a critical thinker, think outside the box, they, you know, but if they don't answer these memorized questions correctly, they cannot get their high school diploma. That's wrong.
Right.
that's how they keep people believing the same shit by doing that.
Right. They're basically saying they don't care if you can think or not. They just want to make sure that you memorize what you're told.
As long as you're repeating what I told you to say, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah. It's
right.
And even that doesn't even make sense, because like, all right, we're going to base everything on something that happened 2,000 years ago. Yes, he was a cool guy, he got nailed to a tree, and that was awful, but he had some good ideas. However, anything that happened before that, no, forget it.
Right.
No,
We should, I mean,
there was a basis for why, you know, that person had these ideas, because they had some knowledge of what was going on before that. We have been, you know, as a species, humans have been around for a long, long time. I find it extremely difficult to believe that, you know, we had these abilities to build the Great Pyramids in Egypt, to build the pyramids in South America, to build all of these amazing giant megalithic structures, which modern archaeology tells us, well, oh, they were just they were basically cavemen. They were living hand to mouth. They didn't have time to wait a minute. Whoa. We can see these buildings. We can see these structures. We can go there right now.
Right.
And we can see them. Someone had to build these things, and because they were building that means they didn't have enough time to do the hunt and gather thing where they had to go hunt for their food and gather enough water and keep their family alive and themselves.
Right.
So someone else was doing that for them for that. So, but that's where the whole thing falls apart. There's an ancient part of us that we have no idea what has happened to us in the past, and there's a part of
I don't even know if it's that ancient. I think it's there. It's not that. I mean, I do believe it is ancient, but I think also there is a few several hundred years part of us that we have no idea because of life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not going to say, well, the people in Atlantis had flying crystal powered pyramids and blah. I don't go that far. There certainly may have been a Roman Empire level of civilization before the end of the Ice Age, 12,500 years ago. But there's stuff that went on before that. How did they reach that? There's a giant gulf of our history that we just don't know.
right. And what melted everything literally all over the earth? Because something at some point in time melted everything.
Right. Was it a giant meteorite bombardment over the entire planet? Or, was it a giant solar flare that could have, melted, entire cities and things like that? The truth is that we just don't know. And we've got a certain element of our society, which is the educators that say, no, you're wrong because I've written a book that says you're wrong. What? No, your book is full of shit. There's no way that all of these things that you're saying, they don't match up at all to what we're physically seeing with our own eyes.
Right.
Because all of us now on Earth have one of these.
Right.
And we can certainly look up these things and go, geez, how do you explain this?
Right.
They can't. So they make up nonsense that you're the dummy all of a sudden.
Right. Right. And I honestly think that that's why, like, some things that where, I just thought that there was always these really just, and I know there is still people that are incredibly intelligent or whatever, but I think that some of the stuff that like astrophysicists talk about and stuff, it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's just a bunch of bullshit.
And to be fair, and I'm a sciencey guy, there's a lot of it that's, if you've ever heard the phrase dark matter is just a placeholder word for shit we don't understand. It's really what it is.
Right.
Because we're actually pretty good, humanity. We're pretty good about sending probes out to other planets and using the gravity of those planets to slingshot it off to another planet where we can get more research and go on and on and on and on. And that was back in the 70s.
It surprises me that we don't learn in science how much this world is an electric place. Like they don't focus on
that. Our
that.
bodies are electric. We don't learn that either. That we are electric too.
And because we didn't hear a whole lot about plasma in school in science. Like,
oh no, it was when you and I were in school. It was liquid, gas, solid, and that was it.
Right.
And now all of a sudden there's plasma, which is kind of a little bit of everything.
Plasma is like the most abundant. Yeah. I mean, it can transform into any of the other thing. I don't know. I think it should be like the main thing. Probably.
When you and I were kids going to school, dinosaurs were cold-blooded lizards that had, their tongue zipped in and out like a lizard, like a snake, and no. Now we know, dinosaurs were probably ancestors to birds, where there's a T-Rex may have even had feathers on it
and wings.
It's stuff like that where it's like, what the what's going on? That's
Right.
a lot. That's a giant gulf of knowledge that we're suddenly going to say, no, it's this thing now.
Wow.
Well, I just didn't realize that there was so much electricity like everywhere, like in the atmosphere, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's taught like that in school. You know how they teach about Benjamin Franklin flying a kite? Like, is that even real? Is that story even real?
Kite and there, because that doesn't really work. You know, the classical Ben Franklin story, lightning hit, somewhere near the kite and came down and followed the string, and now there's a key. Then he kept it ajar, and you could touch it and still get shocked. Like long time afterwards. It's like not how electricity works.
It's like they explain things to us kind of like you would explain things to a little kid, when you're trying to tell them where babies come from. Like that's how we've all been taught, kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not like that in other countries. I feel like America is different. And I feel like we sound like the little kid whose parents told them wrong about how babies were made when we go anywhere else and open our mouths.
The truth of all of it is there's an argument to be made there. And if all you have is the standard doctrine of this guy wrote a book, so he knows more than you, it's like, well, that still doesn't explain all of these things, and you lay them out. No. It doesn't matter. Guy wrote a book. So you're stupid.
Right. Yeah. Why are we
But
like
what
that?
about these things that don't fall into
That
that?
is so stupid. You're right.
Yeah. And it is exactly like that. And so you're right. And that drives me insane. It doesn't matter how many valid questions you have. They're never going to answer them because somebody wrote a book. So.
Right.
We just believe everything they say because that's what they believe. And that's how all of this was formed.
There are certainly some basics where we can say, okay, we agree on this, we agree on this, we agree on this. But when you start getting to the fringes of really, really small basic stuff, and then you start having these knockdown, drag out arguments where it's one of those, you're like, no, you're wrong, and you'll be arrested because you're wrong. It's like, what? It's almost to that point. We've almost reached this almost medieval level of science where, yes, everything you said is maybe true, but it's against the book of the Lord. So no, where you had, Galileo that invented a telescope where he could see the moons around Jupiter, and as observation, through observation, you can see how they rotate around that planet, this giant planet within our own solar system, which is not the center of anything. And no, you're not going to do that. We're going to throw you in jail unless you say, all of those things that you just said were wrong. We're not that far off, honestly, in 2024 from that exact thing for various other topics. There's almost zero difference.
You know what else is kind of scary too is if you take the level of what we don't know or what we've been told, and how long ago the lies started, the people that started the lies are not here anymore. So there's nobody around, right, that originally started all of them, whatever. And so it's you wonder, do the people that are running things, do they even remember the lie? Do they even know, or are they working off of
they're just repeating what they were told? It doesn't,
right.
It's not like a rational conversation. It's like, okay, let's break this down. This equals this, right? Yes. Okay. This equals this, right? Yeah. Okay. This doesn't equal this. You understand why? Well, wait, you're right. No, there's never a no, you're right kind of a thing.
Right.
That,
And there's
that part of the argument is where everything deviates. No, you were wrong.
And there's no people alive still that were from anything originally that was lied about. So we all just are so, we don't know who we are. We don't know where we are. We don't know when we are.
It is a confusing mess. I mean, honestly, you do have to agree on certain things to a certain point for just basic humanity to progress on a day-to-day basis. Yes, if you need to breathe oxygen every day so that you stay alive. Okay, we agree. That's an agreement point. We can say, okay, this is
that we're breathing. What if it is not oxygen? What if it's candy, Enzo? What if we're breathing candy right now?
What if it's all just gravy? And we all have gravy that is running through our veins and all that. It's certainly, those kind of things where you can certainly get squirreled away is they're freaking crazy. But there are things that we all usually can agree on. Yes.
Right. Like we can't fly yet.
You need oxygen.
What if we could? We can.
You can't. I'll use the Douglas Adams thing where you throw yourself at the ground and miss. That's how you fly.
Right. I just don't know how. If I do have the ability to fly, I haven't learned how to use it. So. I'll just err on the side of caution and not try to fly.
It's possible because it's possible you just don't know that you know how, and that's why you can't. Because we don't fucking know, dude. Because of all of that,
I feel like we would know if we knew how, though. Like, because you talk without knowing.
Right. There's certain parts of it I feel that we as humans through government education and religion and various other things where you're kind of locked into, you can only believe these things. And if you start going outside of that, then you're a problem and you need to be dealt with. Yep. But the truth is, and that doesn't make it that they're right necessarily, for thinking outside of that box. But that's actually how you progress, is saying, okay, maybe that's not exactly right, because you're only 85%. You can only prove 85% of what you said, which is a lot. That's pretty good. That's good enough for us to send satellites out and spin around other planets and to slingshot around other planets and blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't work outside of the solar system because there's something else going on. That's where dark matter comes in, which is just a placeholder for science shit we don't understand. Mm-hmm. And because there's no reason, the dark matter thing comes in where
that's pretty.
All of our stars are circulating around the galaxy and stuff like that. When we get outside of the solar system, that's where shit falls apart. Our math doesn't work for some reason, so they made up that bullshit thing for calling it dark matter. And even that has come under a lot of fire the last few years, where it's like, that doesn't work. There's something else going on. We just haven't seen it. We can't visually or thermographically measure it yet. Is the key word there.
So much going on here that like we can focus on knowing or understanding before we even try to understand outside of our solar system. It's like we don't even understand. So, like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like science understands a lot of things. They just understand what they want to understand, or whatever's making the most money at that time. At that moment.
I do feel science-wise, we've only got like a small percentage that we can see or visualize or conceptualize on it. And once you expand outside of that, now you're getting into super theories about stuff, which is very difficult to prove. So you have to spend a lot of years trying to go down each individual alley of trying to prove all of these different theories. And, mathematically, a lot of them are going to be wrong. But that's how we learn.
There's so many things to prove on Earth, though, Enzo. Why must we prove things that are so far outside of There's so many things to prove on Earth. Like, I don't know, how many ants can fit inside of an apple? That's an important
That
question.
makes the apple. Yeah. How many angels can dance on the head of a pin is the common thing. And I guess the answer is infinite is how it's supposed to work. But there's no way to prove that. And there's no way to conceptualize that where you can apply it into a formula where I'm going to launch a spaceship and I need to know how many angels can fit on the head of a pin to make the final calculation. We can't do it. We don't know. We haven't evolved our knowledge to that point.
Well, I feel like we haven't even tried. They don't try to like figure out things on Earth.
There's certainly are blockers that are set up to where no, these are, but like what I talked about with Galileo. No. I know you think with your fancy telescope and visualization of other, celestial bodies within our own solar system that, the Earth is actually the center of the system. It's not the sun's, goes around the Earth. That you don't understand that yet, but you will, because we'll lock you up until you do. You've got that level of just nonsense that still exists in various forms, not necessarily, that upfront about it, but it's kind of there still, where there's things that we think we can certainly visualize a difference of opinion, and there are those that it doesn't matter what you think or what you can prove. It's my way or no way kind of an idea that you're going to get downtrodden over whatever your opinion is because I'm right and you're wrong, with no evidence, with no any of these other things. It's a nightmare, really. It really is.
Right. What a strange world we live in.
Okay, so we have to wrap it up, but I have one more thing to ask, Enzo.
I know my stomach's growling. Can you guys hear it? I'm hungry. I need to eat.
Okay, Enzo, I want you to seriously think and tell me 3 of your weaknesses or flaws or quirks that you feel is that either people have told you they are or you feel they are. What are your 3 weaknesses?
I've certainly been told in the past that I don't know when to shut up, to where again, much like the conversation we just had, that there are certain opinions and certain ideas that are conceptually, well,
I guess she just
it's our show. We're in charge.
Oh, no.
Yeah. If you're the only one here, that means you're in charge.
We have to wait for her to come back because I know what she was doing because she asked me this earlier and I told her to ask you because it was a neat little exercise that she did. So she has to come back because she has to finish telling you something after you give her your answers. But you can finish answering. You can finish your answer for your first question. She can go, like, she'll be able to do what she's doing off of what you said so far.
There's certainly ideas that all of us have. It may not necessarily mesh with what's considered the norm today. Doesn't mean you're wrong.
Right.
There's just as much evidence for what you have to say to where they have to say, kind of an idea for certain things. Obviously, there are certain things that we all agree on. Okay, yes, this is how it all works. But hi.
Did you get his answer for his first one?
Yeah, his first one, that he doesn't know when to shut up because but okay, so what you're saying is that when you're doing that, you're expressing what you're passionate about, and the thoughts you're having about it, right? And do you feel that you're sharing yourself, right? You're sharing
Right.
your knowledge, you're sharing your opinions, you're sharing a conversation. What's the next one?
What was
Oh
the
wait,
second one?
are you supposed to tell them what you're doing first, or do you tell them at
No,
the end?
I just
Oh, okay.
wanted to know 3 of your weaknesses. So that was the first one, right?
Yes, I guess my other weakness is I'm certainly headstrong about certain ideals that I have, and I will not listen to anyone else when I have a secondary style opinion. I will certainly go, okay, I understand. Yes, when the sun comes up, it gets light out and the sky turns blue. I will not argue that. There are other things that I have, past that may be different from what a lot of people think. And I'm fairly headstrong about certain issues when it comes to humanity and how we perceive our own existence. And I don't know if that made any sense what I just said.
It did. It did make sense. And I want to have a whole nother show about that too, by the way.
Oh,
Perceive our own existence. That's my stuff. Okay. And then your third weakness? Oh, wait, before we go on. So, you being headstrong about those things, don't you think that that's part of you and it's important?
oh, certainly. Yeah, that is certainly a major portion of who I am, where I have an idea of how things go, and it may not necessarily come into that congruency with other people. And I may certainly say, okay, fine, this is how it has to go for me to make some progress to all that. I'll interject what I really feel later, but this is it's basically how to play the game. That's how all of it is there's a certain game that goes about where whoever's in charge says, you need to say what I believe. I mostly agree with what you said. No, you need 100. Oh, no. It's mostly. We won't get into an argument now. That kind of a thing. There's certainly always a counter argument for a lot of things, but then you just turn into kind of a douche where you're counteracting everything, which you don't want to go that far.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that answered your question or not.
It did. So that was the second one. And your last weakness, do you have another one?
I have a tough time sometimes. I have a tough time of when there's something that I truly believe in, there's something that I think, no, this is you're an idiot if you don't believe this. I have a bad time for folks that can't see the big picture.
Okay.
Where God damn it, this is very obvious. You should be able to see this.
Where people can't do what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
We're certainly I certainly have my opinions, and I'm not going to say they're right or wrong, but when I'm trying to at least go that extra step to demonstrate this is what I'm talking about, and somebody doesn't get it, or refuses to get it, is usually the case, then I get angry. Then I get super mad. It's like, what the F? I've been super kind to you and tolerant of your stupid view, that kind of thing. I have my limits, and sometimes I will certainly overstep them.
Really?
Oh,
well,
yes.
I can't imagine it.
I know I can't either, but I am about to tell you how what you feel are your weaknesses are not weaknesses at all, but are powerful strengths. So when you don't know when to shut up, well, that, my friend, is connection and communication, and sharing that banter with people is humanity itself. And so that is not a weakness, that is a strength. And the things that you are sharing you are very headstrong about, and you are very certain about what you believe. And a lot of people can't be certain about what they believe. A lot of people don't even know what they believe. So that is something.
Talking about me.
No,
She's talking about me.
well, no, I wasn't. That is something to be proud of.
I don't know. I'm like,
And the last one.
that's,
Oh wait,
I have no idea. That's what I believe. I have no idea.
Oh, the last one. Okay, so the last one, you can get upset about when things are right in front of people's eyes and they still can't see it. That is passion. So you have the ability to be passionate about the way you connect and communicate with people, and you are passionate and headstrong about the things that you believe in, and you know yourself. So those are all strengths, and I want you to never think of them as weaknesses again.
Yeah, I'm like the most
What do you think about that?
unresolute person in my, I'm like unresolute.
So that is an
wishy-washy.
exercise that I made up for helping people with self-love and self-concept. And what do you think about that?
I liked it. I liked it. She did that with me earlier, and I liked it. It made me feel better about myself being so messy, unorganized, and what's the other thing I said? Forgot the third one.
I forgot.
What did I say? Do you remember? I forgot.
For me, it usually boils down to that outside perspective. Is most people have this very finite, this is what I'm doing, and this is all I can do, and this is what my plan is. There are people outside of that frame of reference that can help you with that, or can at least affirm, or certainly come up with a counterpoint for, well, maybe you need to think a little bit more about this, kind of a thing where to maintain that balance.
In regards to like believing in things, or what?
Yeah.
Because the reason I don't believe in anything, or I don't know what I believe, is because there's not a whole lot that makes sense to me. So that's a whole nother show. Well, I'll explain on the next time.
That I feel is way outside of what we're trying to discuss here. But
yeah.
I feel that a lot of people, they have these ideas in their head about, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's not exactly this, it's something else. And there's this just tsunami of ideas that, no, it's something else. And that tries to swamp out that idea. That doesn't necessarily mean they're right and you're wrong. It's just that that's the popular opinion. Doesn't mean it's right.
Well, I don't even have a right or wrong based on like my beliefs, because I literally don't know. So,
right. Everything's a question.
I'm like, I don't know. I've seen a comment through the binoculars of my own eyes, so I believe it was a comment because I could see it. But I can't travel there to like go check it out or see if it's made of ice or whatever. So I don't know.
And Jara, do you think there's anything wrong with that? Do you think there's anything wrong with not knowing yet, right now?
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. That's why I don't mind admitting it, because I don't think, because I'm not the kind of type of person that will say that I know something if I don't know it. Like, I just can't do that. I'm just not like, I don't know why. It's weird. I've always been like that.
But
like,
are you open to knowing? Are you open to ever knowing, or do you believe you'll never know?
Oh, of course I'm open to knowing. I look forward to the day that somebody says some stuff to me that makes some sense with my own like physical experience with stuff, because things that I thought I understood don't make sense to me. And whenever I ask questions of like stuff, you can't find answers to anything nowadays. I feel like all information is tainted. It's either like tries to sway you one way or another, or like people, there's no such thing as just getting information. Like it's all colored and it's irritating. I would love to get information that's not colored. Huh?
What if the day came when you made sense of it?
Well, I do, but I think I do make sense of a lot of things. But when I try to say what I like, that is not what is taught, or that is not what you find on.
Yeah, and so
my sense isn't.
You make sense of something. Would you ever take that as truth?
I have inklings that I believe are true, that are mine because of that. Yes. Does that make sense? Yeah, but I'm like the only person probably that would believe that, or like, because like, for example, trees or whatever, like I'm not the only person that believes it, but like how I feel about trees and stuff, most people aren't like, oh, trees are sentient. They record things that happen around them. Like most people don't think like that. I do. I believe that. But so I have things like that I believe, but I don't believe anything. It's hard for me to believe anything that comes out of mainstream anything, because they lie about everything all the time.
Mm-hmm. So like that's when you form your own ideas.
Maybe if I lived in a different country, because I feel like our information here is somewhat not fully whatever either. I don't know if there's anywhere in the world that has that type of information. I guess you'd have to be a certain echelon of person to be able to get the facts.
Honestly, that's the closest thing right there, is the echelon of person to know what's right and what's wrong and what's true and what's not. There are certainly, I feel, there's got to be someone that's already gone through all of this over the thousands and thousands of years of humanity that's has come across this and figured it out.
Well, yeah, but the evil people don't ever let it fall into the hands of anybody that's going to share
right.
it.
It's kept hidden from regular people like us.
Right.
Is where I was going with that. Is there's certainly I could certainly be wrong, and I'm totally open to being wrong. It's just a theory. It's just an idea. But you can't even ask the question about, are these things that I'm thinking in my head an actual possibility? Because it gets squashed down immediately.
Right. Right.
There's way more to than of what goes on around us on a day-to-day basis than we actually know, and we're certainly taught to ignore a lot of stuff just by, whether it be education or by religious upbringing or all of these things, where we're taught, no, that's not it. Whatever you're thinking is wrong. That it's actually this other thing. You believe there's an entity over here that may be trying to talk to you. They're a demon and they're evil and they're going to kill you. That kind of thing. It's like, what? Wait, based on what? How did we get to this point?
What we need to do is we need to take a whole bunch of like, I don't know, maybe 6-year-olds, and we need to walk them around through like the Grand Canyon and to like these big old cathedrals and stuff, and just hear what they say. Listen to what these kids say about what they're seeing. Because they would be like, oh, Mom, how come that mountain is shaped like a castle? And they'd be like, they'd be saying, oh,
like that. I think that would be a cool, interesting thing to do.
Because we are programmed so bad that, like, you have to talk to a kid when they're like 6 and just be like, what do you see? Tell me what you see when you look at this. And they would be like, oh, no, that looks like it, because it is strange. It's like the Grand Canyon in Sedona, all these places that have these rocks that look like old castles or whatever. It's like, how many like castle shaped mountains can we have before we start maybe going, maybe they might have been castles from a long time ago, like a really long time ago or something. I don't know. But castle shaped I mean, is that, are castles built like to be built after mountains? Is that why they look like that? Is that mountains are supposed to look like castles? Or I don't know. You know, there's just a lot of stuff on the earth that looks like giant biological material too. I'd love to hear an explanation.
Okay, you guys, I could talk to you all night, but
I know I have to go too. I got to eat. I'm starving.
So I absolutely love you guys. You're my besties, and thank you for joining me tonight. And if you're new here, please hit the like and subscribe button. Tell all your friends. If you have a topic you would like us to discuss, please email us at theauthentichappinessshow@gmail.com and join us next week. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you. Happy Halloween.
Halloween.